Hey guys, welcome to Free Coding. In this video, we're gonna learn about Python strings. What are the different ways to store a string and what are the methods that you can use to manipulate your string, also extract data by using slicing, indexing and all. So let's get started. So starting off with storing a string inside a variable. So there are different ways to store it. You can enclose it with different types of quotation, right? You can enclose it with a single quote, double quote, or even a triple quotation would work. But it depends on what kind of your string is. If it's a single line string, any type of quotation would work. As you can see here, I have enclosed it with single quote. Here I've enclosed it with double quote, and finally I have enclosed it with triple quotes. So if I run this and try to print each and every data, it's gonna work without throwing any error. But if you have multiple lines of string, you have to make sure you're enclosing it with triple quotation. It could be a triple single quote as well as triple double quotation would work. When you have multiple lines of string, your single quote and double quote would not work. So if I run this, this is gonna work without any error. And then you have something called indexing, which we learned in list concepts or sets and all, not sets. We learned in tuples, we learned in dictionary. Indexing is nothing but a number your each and every character in the string is gonna carry, using which you can access that particular character or particular substring from a string. So say I have a variable called e here, to which I'm assigning hello to it, and in the next line I'm gonna print e of 1, which indicates index 1. So your index number starts at 0, goes in the sequential increasing order if you're going in the forward direction. So you'll have to just write your index number just like how you write it in a list. So within square bracket you have 1, and then it's gonna print e because e is the item which is at the index 1 here, as you can see, and you have -1. So as you know, your indexing number works two ways, going in the forward direction as well as going in the reverse direction. So when you go in the forward direction, it starts from 0 and goes in the increasing sequential order. But when you go in the reverse direction, it goes in the negative number. So you have -1, -2, -3, -4, so on. So when I say e of -1, it's the last character in the item. That would be O here. And so these are certain methods that you can apply. Len of E would be 5, which indicates number of items in that variable E. So there you go. And we also have something called membership operator. This is going to check whether a particular character or a particular set of characters available in that specified string or not. So you have two of them here. You have in operator, you have not in operator. This is gonna check something and return true if it has met the condition, or else it's gonna return false. So talking about in operator, this is gonna return true if this particular or the specified character is available in the variable. So we do have e here, so it's gonna return true. And in the next line, it's of using not in, so this is gonna return true only if the specified characters are not present in the variable c. So since r is present in the variable c, this is going to return false. So when it comes to checking a particular C character is present or not, you can go for, a set of characters, or a single character would also work. And the next concept we have is slicing, just nothing but just like how the name suggests. So it is going to let you pull a part or extract a part from the string by using index numbers here. So I have a variable called c, to which I'm assigning I am fine with a dot at the end. And as you know, this slicing takes up 3 arguments. So I have the first argument is 4 here in this example. 4 indicates the first argument from where you want to start. Sorry, first index number from where you want to start. And then the next I have the last index up till what you want to go. So I want to start at 4 and go up till 7. So lower bound is 4 here and upper bound is 7. And you also have the third argument, which is not present here, but it is like an increment operator. So from the beginning till the end, by how you want to increase, by how many you want to increase. So if the third argument is not present, your interpreter is going to consider the default one, which is 1 here. So it's going to go from 4, 5, 6 without including the upper bound. As you know, when it comes to Python in upper bound, it would not include the upper bound. So it would be 4, 5, and 6. Would go one, upper bound minus 1. And how your interpreter is going to identify that this is slicing is by looking at the colon. So you have to make sure you're adding that between the arguments. So this is going to return, this is index for the space, F and I. So it's going to return space Fi. And here in the next example, in the next print statement, I don't have upper bound as well as lower bound here. So it's going to consider the entire string data. Since there is no third argument mentioned, you have to let the interpreter consider that it has to increase by 1. So it's going to print each and every character from the string data. And if you don't have the third argument, it's okay to put an empty semicolon just like that, or just go without the second semicolon. That would still, colon, that would still work. Your second colon is important only when you add the argument, else that would be a problem. There you go. And in the next example with the slicing, I've mentioned all 3 arguments here. So it's going to start at 0, lower bound, and upper bound is 6, which means it's going to only go till 5. And we have third argument here. This time I have 2, which means from 0 to 6, it's going to increase by 2. So it's going to print item at index 0, and then index 2, and then index 4. And 4 plus 2 would be 6. Since 6 would not come under this range, interpreter is going to stop at 4. So it's going to print 0, which is I, and then A. 0 is I, A is 2, because the space would be 1. So it's not going to consider that. And this space would be 4. So these are the 3 characters the interpreter is going to print. And in the next example, I have an example of using negative index number, which means your interpreter is going to go in the reverse direction. So, and as you can see, there are no lower bound and upper bounds are mentioned. So it's going to consider the entire string. But this time it's going to go in the reverse direction because we have a negative number in the third argument. Since it's -1, it's going to display each and every character. So going to start from dot and go up till I. So just printing the entire string in the reverse order. So whenever you want to reverse your string for any purpose, you can go with slicing by using negative index number in the end. And here are few string methods we are going to go through. There are lots of string methods available to manipulate your string, or to pull data or check for something in the string. But here are the most basic ones, most important ones that we are going to go through. So starting off with a variable, I have a variable here to which I'm storing a data, and in the next line or the next 2 lines are nothing but dealing with the case of the string, whether uppercase and lowercase. So if you want to convert, this is the most common one. If you want to convert your string into uppercase or to lowercase, you can use methods, upper method and lower method here. So this would convert the entire string into uppercase as well as lowercase. As you can see the output right below the cell. And this is mainly used when you want to check for something in your text type data or a string data. So what you can do is, if case does not matter there, you can convert that entire user's input into a particular case and check it against the right data. So in order to check the string, you can convert it with the upper and lower case. And you have count. So count is nothing but, just like the name suggests, it's just gonna count the number of times this specified character is repeated in your mentioned string data. So since I've used C here, it's the variable name. So C.count of n. So how many times n is present in this particular data? That would be 1. And you have is upper and is lower. So any VMA function in Python, if it starts with is, it would either return true or false based on the condition it's gonna check. So since I have is upper here, so this is gonna check. So it's C.is upper, gonna check if the data that is present in C is uppercase or not. So if it's an uppercase one, it's gonna print it as true if it is in uppercase, or else it's gonna print false. So since we don't have all the letters in uppercase here, this is gonna print false. And this is gonna print false as well, because we don't have all the characters in lowercase. You have one in the uppercase. So it's gonna return false as well. And the next, method or common method that you have in string or that you would use in string is replace method. This is going to replace one character with another character here. So I have EA. Let me take off this number. It takes up to 3 arguments. The first one is the character that you want to remove. Second is the new character that you want to add. And third is the number. It's an optional one. If you want to do it, or if you want to replace it at only one place or two place, you can control that by giving that number. So if you don't mention that number, it's gonna change that in all the places. So since in this data I have 2A, so it's gonna make the change in both the places. So you can see A has been converted or changed to R. But if I do add a number here, so I'm going to add 1 here, which means as soon as the interpreter meets an A, it's going to replace it with R and exit from the code. There you go. It has changed in only one place, and the remaining A's are still the same. Next is split. Split function is gonna return list of strings. So it's gonna perform the splitting operation, and then it's gonna return all the splitted items as items as a string in a list. So since I have not mentioned any character where I want to make a split, your interpreter is gonna make a split at wherever you have space. So I have space here, it's going to make a split there, it's going to make a split one in here and then in here. So it's going to make 3 splits and return 4 characters. So let me run this. So as you can see, it has returned all the splitted strings as a list of strings here. And each and every item is separated by comma, and it has made that split wherever you had the space. But wherever it is making a split, that character will not be returned. Here is another example. This time I'm going to make the split at a particular character, say A. So it's going to make the split at A. Wherever you have A, it's going to make a split there, but never going to return that character. So as you can see, I have I space and I'm fine. A has been removed, and then comma space. Sorry, comma is just the item, and then nothing in here because the third item is nothing because I have A at the end. So it's going to make a split there, but there are no other characters after A. So it's just going to return an empty set of strings. Let me run this. So there you go. And next 2 examples are going to check if a particular string starts with a specified character or not. So starts with, ends with. So starts with, I've put I. So that is true. Your interpreter your variable C has a string that starts with the letter I. So it's going to return true. And it does not end with I and E. So which means it indicates that you can check for a particular character, or you can also check for a set of characters. So since it does not end with I and E here, this is going to return false. So it's just C dot ends with, C dot starts with. And I've created another variable called C, or just assigning different data to it. How are you? So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a method called title here. This is widely used when you're creating an article to make your title or to highlight your title. So what does title do is it's going to change the case of the first letter of each and every word to uppercase. So that way you can highlight your title, right? So as you can see in how are you data, everything is in lowercase, but in the output, it has converted the first letter of each and every word to uppercase. And in the next example, we have C dot index of A. So index is nothing, but everyone would get confused between index and count. So just to be clear, count is nothing but to count number of times a particular character is repeating, and index is going to return the index number of the specified character. So the index number of A would be 4. Even though if I have more than one A's here, the interpreter is going to return the index number of the first character it meets or where it meets it. So it's going to meet it here. So that would be 0, 1, 2. So index number of A would be 2. Oh, my bad. So C is here. The variable has got updated here. So here the index number is 4. So that would be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And next we're gonna learn about how to format your strings in order to let your user know what has happened, just to give them a proper formatted output for being giving a clear explanation. So say I have a variable called name and age, and both has different types of data, John and 14, which is string and integer data type. So you can combine integer with data, string data type by using comma. That would work. So this is the most simple one. But what happens here is you have to use lots of commas, quotations. You have to close it open it in one place and close it in another place. That would become little problem here. So say I'm going to add another string and after this as well. Okay, so John is 14 years old. So if I run this, so you can see it is combined all together as a single sentence, but I have used lots of quotations, commas, and all, that would create a problem when you have too many of them. But another way to do is using plus. So if you use plus, the problem is your interpreter would not combine a string with a integer data type by using plus. What you have to do is you have to convert the integer into string. Plus operator in Python is to do addition operation. That's different, mathematical addition. And the other thing is to combine sequence together. So it combines strings together, lists together, even tuples together. So here, since I'm using plus to combine strings and numbers, I'm converting the number into string data type. And how do you do that is by using a method called str string method. So any data type that you want to convert has to go within the set of parentheses, and that would get converted into string. It could be of any type. So if I run this now, you can see John is 14 years old, got printed successfully, but you can see the length of the code has also increased here. Look how much it has extended now by applying a function. It's too much of functionality, too much of quotation syntax here. But one other simple way to do is by using a format method. And how you could write that is, or the syntax for your format method is, this is one of the built-in functions in Python. So you can write string dot format method. So in the place of string, you can write the string that exactly you want to print within the quotation, and dot format within the parentheses. You can line up your variables. Make sure you order your variables separated by comma. So in the string, in the place of writing the variable name or the data that is stored in the variable, what you could do is you can simply use a set of empty curly brackets to act like a placeholder here. So here I'm going to write John is again another set of empty curly brackets. Here I'm going to write the number, years old, dot format, and then set of parentheses, name comma age. So name and age you have to make sure you line it up in the order, so it's just going in the right order. So the first placeholder, your name would get stored, and in the second your age would get displayed. So if I run this now, you can see John is 14 years old. But if you don't give it in the right order, that's all right. You can use index numbers to mention what has to come where. So since I have written age first and then name, the index number of age would be 0, index of name would be 1. And within the brackets, you can write the index number. So since I've written 1 here, the name would get displayed here, and 0, in the place of 0, age would get displayed. So if I run this, John is 14 years old. And another simple way to write is by using f in the beginning, nothing else. So the syntax goes like this. So write f followed by that the string that you want to display. But Another simpler thing here is by just writing directly your variable name in the place of writing the data that variable stores. But another important thing is when you're writing a variable name, by using F, you could just enclose the variable name by using curly brackets. So name is age. So age years old. If I run this, it has printed the same statement. So this is the most simple way of formatting your string. And one final way is by using percentage here. So the syntax goes like this: string, percentage, variables within curly brackets. So it just works like format that we saw earlier, but there are a few changes here. You don't need a dot operator to separate your percentage and the string part. And the second thing is you don't have to use curly brackets here as a placeholder. You'll be using percentage S and percentage D. So S would act like a string. So if you want to display string here, then that would go in here. And if you're displaying integer, that would go in the percentage D place. So if I run this, let me just add years old. So if I run this, you can see John is 14 years old. So these are the different ways to format your strings, and here are a few methods that we saw how to manipulate, extract data from your string. We saw about slicing and membership operator, indexing, and simple ways to store your data. With this, I'm gonna end this video. We'll see you in the next video with a different concept.
Bye, guys.